Hello, brave art students. This week's project is actually going to be a 2-week project. We're going to work on it this week and next week. And because it's a 2-week project, I am really expecting you to do a very good job. And I'm going to ask you to do 3 artworks over the next 2 weeks, creating some found object sculptures in relief. And the videos that I have are going to go over the directions for that and what my expectations are. But I just want to talk a little bit about some general expectations because I've been noticing that some people are doing the projects very quickly and not putting a lot of effort into them. Some of you are going over the top with effort and doing some wonderful, wonderful work, and I'm so thrilled to see it. But some folks are just maybe waiting until the end of the week to get around to doing the project and kind of doing what I would call a quick and dirty version of it. So for this project, I really want you to be very creative. I want to see some really good effort. And I also want to see some really good answers to the questions. Some people are taking shortcuts on answering the questions. So for this project, I'm going to make the questions a little bit more difficult, and I'm expecting your answers to be a little bit more thoughtful. So let's do a really good job. I tried to find a project that was going to be a lot of fun to do over a 2-week period, and I think at least I hope that you're all going to like this project. So take a look. Hello everyone. I want to talk a little bit about this week's project, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of samples of this week's project, and we're going to go through some videos that talk about art elements and principles and some different kinds of sculpture. So I want to start out by reminding you of what form is. And form is something that has real form, is something that's three-dimensional and takes up space. And our project this week is going to deal with form. So I want to just talk about 2 different ways that artists use sculpture. Sculpture is something that takes up space and is 3-dimensional. And 2 kinds of sculpture. One is called sculpture in the round, and the other is called relief sculpture. And sculpture in the round means you kind of think about it as something that you could walk around or go around, right? So here's a sculpture that one of my daughters made when they were very young of a kangaroo. Right? So you can go all the way around this sculpture and see the front and the back. Just kind of like this piggy bank that we were talking about, right? You can go around it. So this is sculpture in the round. There's another kind of sculpture called sculpture that's in relief. And sculpture that's in relief has a flat back and it's raised up off the surface. So when you think of coins, like pennies and dimes and quarters and things like that, they are sculpture in relief. There is something that's raised up off the surface a little bit. It's bumpy, and the image of the head or the face or the design or whatever's on the coin is raised up off the surface. So I want to show you a sculpture in relief and then talk about that, show you some more examples in a Prezi, and then that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making a sculpture in relief. Okay, so here is a mask that is in relief, and you can see the black background is flat, and as I come around this, you can see how it's raised up off the surface. And this was made with a lot of found objects, and our sculpture in relief is also going to be made with a lot of found objects, and I'll show you some of those coming up. Okay, so now let's take a look at our project and how we're going to use relief. We're going to use relief and found objects, and I hope you have a lot of fun with this. I had a lot of fun making these samples for you, so let's take a look. And I wanted to talk a little bit about understanding art worlds. So to get the ideas for those projects, I was using this book, and I looked through this artist's work and her ideas, and how she used different kinds of found objects to create different kinds of scenes and sculptures in relief. And I'm not going to go through this whole book right now, but I will put a lot of these images on the Prezi so that you can take a look at them in more detail, and I hope they'll give you some ideas of different kinds of materials that you might use for different things. Here is one example of a found object look-alike sculpture. This is my version of a Black Widow spider. I had to go online and look for what the Black Widow's markings look like, and they have a little bit of some kind of red marking on their backs. So I just want to show you what this is made from, to maybe give you some ideas. This is a piece of candy, and this is a sticky note or a small post-it that I used for the red marking on the back. The body of the spider is an upside down jar of jam, and the head is 2 beans for the eyes, and it's the lid of a jar turned upside down. And you can see I used some old pairs of reading glasses that I had for the 8 legs, because spiders have 8 legs. And let's fix his eye here. And then I used yarn to make the web, the spider's web. So that's one version of something. And I'm going to zoom out a bit. This is on a flat blanket that is draped over a coffee table. So I used that as my background or my base. You want to really be thinking about your background, because you don't want that to take away from your sculpture. You want your background to be simple. Well, I hope you all have as much fun with this project as I am having. This is another sample. It's a woman with a necklace in a blue dress, and I want to just show you the materials again, because for this project, how you use your materials is important. You need to have at least, for each of your sculptures, you need to have at least 10 different materials. And that doesn't mean 10 different things, it means 10 different kinds of things. So for example, this washer that I used for her eyes counts as one type of material. I use it twice, but I can only count it as one. Actually, I use it 3 times. I use it down here in her necklace too. I have another one down here. So all 3 of those pieces count as one material. All of these pennies count as one material because it's one type of material. All of the popsicle sticks count as one type of material. So in each of your sculptures, you need to have at least 10 different types of materials. So let's look at how many are here. I have yarn for the hair and the nose and the face, the outside of the face, that's 1. The washers are 2. I have black beans for the eyes, inside the eyes, that's 3. Leaves for the ears, and these metal pieces for earrings, that's 4 and 5. I've got flowers and pine needles in the hair, that's 6 and 7. Popsicle sticks are 8. Pennies make 9, my dime is 10, and my blue gloves that I used for the dress are 11. The candy in the mouth is 12. So I think I have 12 different materials here to make this portrait of a woman. And these are the materials that I used for my spider and spider web. Now I don't have 10 materials here. My glasses count as 1, the string is 2, the beans are 3, the lid is 4, the candy is 5, the post-it notes are 6, and the jar of jam is 7. So there are only 7 materials here, so that really wouldn't count. If I wanted to have 10 materials, maybe I could put something in the spider web that the spider was going to eat or get. So you want to be thinking 10 materials. That's going to make your sculpture really interesting. And 10 materials is going to challenge you to be more creative with your project. And that's really what I want to see. I want to see how creative you can be with this. Okay, I got kind of fancy with this one, but I had a lot of fun making this. I call it Feeding the Fish. It's a fish tank with a filter on the left side and the wires draping into the tank, and some bubbles coming up, some fish swimming around, a hand coming in and feeding the fish. And so I'm going to just take you in a little bit closer so you can see some of the materials that I used. My filter is made from a camera and a charger cord and some pieces of metal. I use these for the earrings on the woman. Some combs, coins for bubbles, plants for seaweed, rocks, an old piece of driftwood, and then I used these thumb drives for fish, and guitar picks and pennies, and little beans for food, and a matchbox for a food box, and a glove, and a paper towel tube. And this is an easel that I have. It's a table easel. This frame, it folds up. And underneath the water is a placemat, made from a placemat. And then I have another table runner that I used, this green cloth here, to show a tablecloth underneath my fish tank. So you can get very fancy with this, or you can keep it a little simpler, but have fun. It's a lot of fun making these.